Hello to my Algebra 2 students, this is Mr. Hotard. Today's lesson is on solving quadratic inequalities. We've been working with quadratic formula and factoring to solve quadratic equations. Now we're going to look at what happens when there's a less than or a greater than in the problem. Now, before we do that, something we need to review from Algebra 1 called compound inequalities. There's two types. First one is OR inequalities, something like x is less than 3 or x is greater than 5. Can you think of a number that's smaller than 3 and greater than 5? No, me neither. All right, because there is no such number. That's why it's called an OR inequality. A number can be that or that. It can't be both. So like a graph of that, if here's 3 on the number line, here's 5. All right, I would have an open dot on the 3, open dot on the 5. It'd be anything less than 3, so 2, 1, 0, negative numbers, anything left of 3, anything to the right of 5. Those would be my OR inequality. Now an AND inequality. X is greater than negative 2 and x is less than 4. Can a number be bigger than negative 2 and smaller than 4? Sure it could. Numbers like negative 1, 0, 1, 2, 3, and all the decimals and fractions that go in between them. All right, that's an AND inequality. An AND inequality can be written this way, as one big inequality, like the smallest number first. Negative 2 less than x less than 4. That just means x is any number between negative 2 and 4. And so a graph of that, here's negative 2, here's positive 4. All right, where would the answers be for that? It would be between them. Everything bigger than negative 2, smaller than 4, that'd be all these points. All these numbers, negative 1, 0, 1, 2, 3, and all the decimals and fractions that go with it. Okay, so what does that have to do with our lesson today? Well, you'll see. When I'm solving quadratic inequalities like x squared minus 3x minus 4 less than 0, there are two steps to this. There's solving the actual equation to get the number part of the answer and then figuring out what type of inequality it is. So to start this off, I'm going to treat this less than just like an equal sign. I'm just going to treat this like x squared minus 3x minus 4 equals to 0. And I'm going to solve that using either factoring, quadratic formula, or if there's only one x in the problem, you can use the square root method. So this one I want to try to use factoring. What numbers multiply to give me negative 4 and add to give me negative 3? It's going to be negative 4, positive 1. X minus 4, x plus 1. All right, that doesn't mean the answers are negative 4 and 1 though. That means the answers are x equals positive 4 and x equals negative 1. All right, so there's the number part of my answer. Now, this inequality, the answer to this inequality, it could be one of two things. It could be an OR inequality, so it could be, all right, I'm always want to put the smaller one first, so it could be that x is less than negative 1 or x is greater than 4, or it can be an AND inequality. It might be that x is every number between negative 1 and positive 4. Now, how do we check? How do we know that? All right, what we're going to do is just check a number between them. So let me just draw a little number line right here. Here's negative 1. Here's 4. I want to pick a number in between them to try. What's a nice, easy number in between negative 1 and 4? The easiest number is 0. All right, so let's just check 0. Let's plug 0 into the original problem and see if it works. I'm plugging it into x squared, so I'm going to have 0 squared minus 3 times 0 minus 4 less than 0. Now, where did I get that 0 from again? It's just a random number in between negative 1 and 4, but it's the easiest number to check. So let's see if that works. 0 squared is 0. 3 times 0 is 0, so I'm just left with negative 4. Now, is this true? Is negative 4 less than 0? Yes, it is. All right, since that point worked, that means all the points between them work. All right, so all the numbers between negative 1 and 4 are solutions. Does that mean it's an OR inequality or an AND inequality? It's an AND inequality. So I need to write my answer like this. The smaller number less than x less than the bigger number. So this answer is going to be negative 1 less than x less than 4. Now, what if that number did not work? What if I plugged in 0 and I'd gotten, let's say I got positive 5 less than 0, something like that. Then that wouldn't have been true, and that would have meant everything on the outside to the left and right of negative 1 and 4 would have been solutions. In that case, it would have been an OR inequality. I would have written my answer like that. X is less than negative 1 or x is greater than 4. But since it worked, it's an AND inequality. So let's look at one more problem. All right, this one down here. So again, start off by just treating this like an equal sign. 3x squared minus 13x equal to negative 10. And we're going to solve that. No matter which method you're using, you have to get it equal to what? 0. So let's add 10. Put it at the end. So that's going to say 3x squared minus 13x plus 10 equal to 0. Now I've got a number in front. I can't divide it out of everything, so the easiest way to solve this is going to be quadratic formula. X equals negative b, so positive 13 plus or minus the square root of negative 13 squared minus 4 times 3 times 10 all over 2a, so all over 2 times 3. And let's work that out. All right, so negative 13 squared, that's going to be positive 169. Get x equals 13 plus or minus square root of 169 minus 4 times 3 is 12 times 10 is 120 all over 2 times 3, which is 6. Now 169 minus 120 going to give me 49. So I'm getting x equals 13 plus or minus the square root of 49 all over 6. Now is 49 a perfect square? Yes, it is. What's the square root of 49? It's 7. Is it square root of 7 or just regular 7? Just regular 7. So I'm getting 13 plus 7 over 6, and I'm also getting 13 minus 7. That's a 13, it looks like a B. 13 minus 7 over 6. I'm going to get two answers. So 13 plus 7, that's 20, and 20 over 6 reduces to 10/3. There's the first answer, and then 13 minus 7 it's going to give me 6, and 6 over 6 is just 1. So there are the two number parts of my answer. So now I'm not done. That's the number parts. I got to figure out what type of inequality it is. Might be an and, might be an or. So let me just sketch a graph on this number line right here. All right, now 10/3, it might be easier if you write this as a mixed number, just to see where it is on the number line. All right. Right now it's an improper fraction. 3 goes into 10, 3, 6, 9, 3 times, and then you have 1 left over. So that's the same thing as 3 and 1/3. All right, so on my number line, here's 1, here's 3 and 1/3, or 10/3. Okay, and so I'm just gonna pick a number now. 0's not between them this time. What's a nice easy number between, remember this is really like 3 and 1/3. What's a nice easy number between 1 and 3 and 1/3? You use 2, or you could use 3. I'm going to use 2. All right, let's just try 2. Plug in 2. Now, you could use the original equation. You can use the new one after we move the negative 10. I like to stick with the original one. So let's just go with 3x squared minus 13x, see if it gives us a number greater than negative 10. So I'm plugging in 2. 3 times 2 squared minus 13 times 2. Let's see if that's greater than negative 10. Now, remember order of operations. Don't do 3 times 2. Do 2 squared, which is 4, times 3 is 12. And 13 times 2 is minus 26. Now, what is 12 minus 26? That is negative 14. Now, is this true? Is negative 14 greater than negative 10? No, it is not. Negative 10 is greater than negative 14. Positive 14 is greater than positive 10, but negative 14 will be less than negative 10. That is not true. This point between these two did not work. So what is that telling me? Is this going to be an and or an or inequality? If the numbers between them didn't work, it'd be everything on the outside. This is an or inequality. So I would write my answer like this. X is less than the smaller number, or X is greater than the bigger number. So this answer, I'll just write right here. It can be X is less than, the smaller number was 1, or X is greater than the bigger number, which was 10/3, or 3 and 1/3. Okay, I hope that was understandable, and I will see you guys later. Hotard out.